Hi, I'm Mr. Clix, and this is Mr. Clix Flix. Today we're going to do the follow-up video to my earlier one, and we're going to go over my uncommon and rare pools for my venue's Fear Itself Month 1 event. Again, all figures are going to get two different ratings, one rating for Fear Itself Sealed, and another rating for 300 point constructed. So up first is number 11 in the set. He's an uncommon, and it's Tyre. He's 130 points, has 2 traits, has a 8 movement with charge, 11 attack, 18 defense with invulnerability and indomitability, and 4 damage with exploit weakness. His first trait is called Shield, and it says if Tyre has no action tokens, modify his defense value by +1. And his second trait is called Asgardian War God. Modify the damage value of adjacent friendly characters with the Asgardian keyword by +1 when they make close combat attacks. So this is really good in this set because a lot of figures in this set have the Asgardian keyword. I had him paired up with Valkyrie, and I kept them adjacent most of the game. So if I was lucky and got a 6 on one of Valkyrie's Blades, Claws, Fangs rolls, it was doing 7. And a third of the time he has a 19 defense on this top click, which is still pretty hard to hit even with an 11 or 12 attack. And especially late dial is really helpful to him. Later on in this dial he does get a special on his attack. It starts on Clix 6 and he has it till the end of his dial, which is 8 clicks long. It's called Soul of the War God. It says Tyre can use Penetrating Psychic Blast as if he had a range value of 6. It's a really good special power. It caught a few opponents by surprise whenever I used them, and I was able to get 2 KOs with them because of that power. And also on that last click he has a 3 damage with Close Combat Expert, so if they do decide to run up to you to try to get rid of your 3 damage Psychic Blast, they have potential to get hit for a 5 damage with the Close Combat Expert. Fear Itself Sealed, I would rate him 5 out of 5. He's really difficult to take down. Every click he does something helpful for your team. Since there's so many Asgardians in this set, you're going to get a lot of use out of the Asgardian War God trait if you build your team correctly. And that late dial Psychic Blast power really comes in handy. In Constructed, I gave him 3 out of 5 stars. You could build a team around him to help him, but his lack of range and at 130 points he comes in at almost half your build in 300 points, and I think you could use some other figures that in his point cost that do a lot more things for you. So 3 out of 5 stars for Constructed. The next figure I had to review is number 15 in the set. It's Attuma. He has a trait. He starts off with a 10 movement with charge, 10 attack, 17 defense with invulnerability, and a 3 damage with a special. His trait is called Atlantean Vision, and it says once per game, give Attuma a free action and place up to 6 water terrain markers on the map in squares of clear terrain and at least 6 squares away from an opposing character. These squares are water terrain this game. Attuma can use super senses when occupying water terrain. So that's pretty good. Super senses, if he does get hit with an attack, you can roll and maybe not take any damage, or if you miss your super senses rolls, you're still reducing by at least the 2 for invulnerability. And his special on his damage is called Lord of the Murky Depths. Opposing characters with 6 squares and occupying water terrain can't be given power actions. So this is really good. If you were going to use him in Constructed, it would be really helpful to use against something like a team base because it takes a power action to use working together, and if you can place him within 6 squares, they cannot be given power actions. And at 109 points, he would be pretty helpful, and you still have enough points left over to have somebody with some real fighting and firepower on your team. His damage values stay pretty consistent, although he does have a rather low defense at a 17, and then it dips down to a 16. But he always has at least a 9 attack, which is pretty good, and he gets Blades, Claws, Fangs later on in this dial. For Fear Itself Sealed, I rated him 3 out of 5 stars. He's pretty good, but his low defensive values and those 9 attacks aren't really going to do you too many favors with some of the higher attacks and defenses in this set. However, if you're playing him in month 3 and you're able to get on the all water terrain map, consider him a star higher. So I would on that water terrain map, he'd be a 4 out of 5. For Constructed, I gave him a 3 out of 5 also. You could build a team around him to stop team bases, but that's pretty specialized, and you would also have to make sure you're on a map with a lot of water terrain. So you would have to outdo their +7 map roll. So 3 out of 5 stars in Sealed, unless it's month 3 and you can get on the water map, in which case it'd be 4 out of 5, and 3 out of 5 stars in Constructed. Next up is number 18 in the set, Uncommon Iron Fist. This is the Mighty version. He starts off with a 9 movement with charge, and he has the flight ability, 11 attack with a special, 17 defense with combat reflexes and indomitability, and 3 damage with close combat expert. His special on his attack is called Mighty Hammer and Chain. It says, give Iron Fist a power action, choose an opposing character within range and line of fire, and roll a d6. If the result of the d6 is higher than the number of squares to that character, you may place that character in a square adjacent to Iron Fist. On any result, you may make a close combat attack. So he has a 4 range with 1 lightning bolt. So what he can do is, if somebody is 2 squares away, he can make an attack roll for his range attack, and if his attack roll is or if the d6 roll is higher than the number of squares away that character was, he can bring them adjacent and then make a free close combat attack. Now that also works if he's already adjacent to a character, and he can place them in another square that's adjacent to him, so that you maybe would be able to get a second attack off with a different character that they were trying to keep away from your big bruiser. He's only 94 points, so he comes in at a pretty reasonable cost. In Constructed, that would be less than a third. His combat values stay pretty consistent, and combat reflexes are really nice, especially in Fear Itself Sealed, where there's not really a lot of range. He does on his last click dip down to an 8 attack, but it's his last click, he's already done a lot for you by then. And he has on click 5 the stop revert click that all mighty figures have. For Fear Itself Sealed, I rate him a 5 out of 5. His flight ability makes it so he can carry friends into combat. He has Indomitable, so he's able to do something for you 2 out of every 3 turns. He is really great at repositioning figures, your opponent's figures, so that you can get a better attack off. And he can really do a lot of damage himself, sometimes with 4 and 5 damage with close combat expert. And in Constructed, I gave him a 4 out of 5. He comes in at just a third of the points. He has plenty good keywords, including Avengers and the really popular Hero for Hire keyword right now with the free actions. He's able to carry friends into combat, able to reposition, and he would make for a great tie-up piece or secondary attacker. So for Iron Fist, 5 out of 5 Sealed, 4 out of 5 Constructed. And next we're going to start the rares that I pulled. And first up is the Serpent. He comes in at 100 points. He's number 27 in the set. Has the Power Cosmic Team ability. He starts off with a 7 movement with Phasing Teleport, 11 attack with Psychic Blast, 18 defense with Super Senses, 2 damage with a special, and a 7 range, which is in this set where there's not really a lot. There's a lot of figures with either no range or a range that's like a 2 through 4. 7's really helpful. His special on his damage that shows up on his first click is called I Am Your All-Father Now. It says the Serpent can use enhancement and leadership. When he succeeds on a roll for leadership, he may also remove an action token from an adjacent character with the Asgardian keyword. So he has the potential to remove 2 action tokens whenever he does his leadership roll. So that's pretty good. And then on click number 4, he gets a special on his movement that's called Summon the Worthy to Defend Me. It says give the Serpent a power action, place up to 2 friendly characters with the Worthy keyword adjacent to him. Those characters can't be given an action this turn. So it's basically he's getting beat up, power action, place 2 characters, let's say Newell and Kurth next to him to block either lines of fire or to beat up other characters. Now also on this click though, he does have Pulse Wave, which is really helpful clearing out other characters. He's only 100 points, so he's about a third of your build, or if you're doing 400 point for Fear itself, that's still only 25% of your build, so you have plenty of room for other characters that are going to be more powerful. And I played against him in my Fear itself Month 2 event, and that 2 damage Psychic Blast does really hurt you. At about halfway through the game you start noticing it, and he moves up the priority ladder. For Sealed, I gave him a 3 out of 5 stars. His range is really good. If you pull a couple worthy figures and you can get some mileage out of the Summon My Worthy to Defend Me special on his movement, that's great also. He has the Power Cosmic Team ability, so his stuff can't be outwitted. And like I said, that 2 damage really catches up with you mid-game. And for Constructed, I also rated him a 3 out of 5 stars, 100 points. He comes into the 30-year build, so you could run him on an Asgardian team or a Worthy team if you're able to build one. Asgardians would probably be your better bet since they aren't quite as many points as most of the Worthy figures. So the Serpent gets 3 out of 5 stars for Sealed and 3 out of 5 stars for Constructed. And my second rare that I pulled in my Fear itself Month 1 is Skirn, and this is the Worthy version of Titana. It's number 25 in the set. She's 150 points. She has improved movement and 2 traits. She starts off with a 10 movement with Plasticity, 11 attack with Super Strength, 17 defense with Invulnerability, and she also has Indomitability, and 4 damage. So her improved movement is she ignores hindering terrain and other characters. Her first trait is called Hammer of Skirn. Skirn may use charge, and it also says when she's KO'd you can place Skirn's hammer in an adjacent square and friendly characters modify the relic roll by +1. So that's pretty good if she does get KO'd. She is helpful, and she has traded charge, so that can't be outwitted. So you have charge the whole game, and that top dial it's a 5 movement charge with Super Strength, which is pretty good. And then her second trait is called Hammer Collision, and it says if Skirn is adjacent to a friendly character with the keyword the Worthy, she can use Pulse Wave as if she had a range of 8. And if that character is named Gurguroth, her Pulse Wave deals 3 damage instead of 1 when targeting more than one character. Adjacent friendly characters with the keyword the Worthy ignore this use of Pulse Wave. So Her top dial is really nasty on offense. 11 attack, 4 damage, super strength, so you have a chance at 6 damage is really good. But also that 8 range on Pulse Wave, if you can place her adjacent to a worthy character like the Serpent. So then in a game where you have a bunch of 2, 3, 4 ranges, all of a sudden you have a 7 range and an 8 range character, and with a single target Pulse Wave of 4 damage, that's just really nasty. And then if you also get lucky enough to pull Gurgoroth, who is the worthy version of Absorbing Man, and you're dealing 3 damage to basically your whole opposing character's team if you're able to hit them all. That 17 defense is a little low to me, but you know they have to reel it in to make it valuable on points. She's very close combat oriented, even though she has a nice range combat trait. On Click, which Click is that? Click 4, she gets her revert click for Titana. I would never replace her with Titana. She's still, even on Click 4 and the rest of her dial, is way more valuable than Titana's ever going to be. And she even has a click of, yep, it's Outwit. She has a click of Outwit. So she's way more valuable than Titana. She is 8 clicks long. And she's a really good powerhouse. For 150 points, she's a little expensive. But like I said, if you pull her with a worthy figure and you have can get off a few single target Pulse Waves with 4 damage, or if you pull the worthy version of Giant Man, you can get off a few multi-target 3 damage to everybody Pulse Waves. She's just really nasty. Now I rated her in sealed 4.5 out of 5. She's just really good. That long 8 range with Pulse Wave is just really great. And then if somebody is crazy enough to run up on her, she has, hopefully you'll have a heavy object with her and you can smash them for a 6 damage. In Constructed, I rated her 3 out of 5 stars. You could build a whole team around her, but she has a relatively low defense. It's 17 and 16s, and at 150 points, she's almost half your build. I'm not saying that you couldn't build a fairly competitive construction team with her. I'm just saying that it might be easier with some other figures. So that's all I have for you today. Be sure to check back. We're going to have another video that is Fear Itself Month 1 and Month 2 LE reviews. And also I'm going to have another video where it's going to be my Fear Itself Month 2 pulls. Any figure that I pulled that we haven't reviewed so far. So keep on clicking.